guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back with another video. I'm still not very well for anyone who watched my previous video or videos. I've got some sort of flu or something, possibly COVID, although I didn't really take the test. But anyway, I mentioned that because I hope my voice is clear enough. I feared in the morning that I was going to lose my voice, and I had a really bad chest, but it's a really bad throat and all that kind of thing. But it seems to have cleared up. But anyway. This is not like one of the usual list videos I make, although it is kind of a list video, but it's not. It's different in the sense that it's not going to be in parts 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are these are 10 things which I think make a great football team. So yeah, for today, as it's a Friday, I'm mainly hoping to focus on football. So for any football fans around the world, I know I often focus on like Italian football and Celtic, but I'm hoping all possible football fans from all over the world will get involved in the comments section on this video and talk about whether you agree with me on what makes a great football team in terms of the staff and that kind of thing. I think that covers everything for the kind of intro, if you like. But here are a list. Basically, I'm going to try and crack on with it. As for this video, for today's, well, it's not going to be today's video. I'm hoping to make a few more. But for this video, I'm hoping to focus on what makes a great football team. Anyway, I'm going to try and stop waffling and try and remember what I was thinking of last night with regards to this list of my thoughts. So not necessarily in order, but not necessarily in order in terms of what's more important or what should be brought in first necessarily. Yeah, here are things that I think make a great football team, especially at a professional level. And maybe it's different in terms of park level football, grassroots football. But anyway, here goes. So I do waffle. I know. Here goes. So one thing for the first thing I'm going to say is a great manager. A great manager can be like a great motivator of players. I include that as number one because normally I think a manager is a soul creature, probably a soul creature, but a soul character. So a manager is normally on their own. I suppose they should still discuss with like the board, and obviously they have to talk to the players and things like that, but and probably not be too autocratic and a little bit democratic in their decision making, just like a business person, I suppose. But they're normally one person. You don't tend to have more than one manager. It probably doesn't work very well if you do, because sometimes there can be too many heads or too many cooks rather. Probably too many crooks as well, but too many cooks spoil the broth. So you only need, I suppose, one manager for a team, for an individual team. So, but a decent manager can like motivate players. People like Alex Ferguson and people like that. Normally they tend to shout quite a lot, but and they have controversial ways of doing things. But Alex Ferguson was very effective. I was thinking recently, last month, I would love to have had Alex Ferguson managing Serie A or even to Celtic, although he grew up as a Rangers fan. But I think they offended him because his late wife was Catholic. His wife had passed away recently. But yeah, a manager can like motivate. Obviously, Fergie did it really well. For those who follow football, Arsene Wenger seemed to be a very different character. He didn't seem to shout very much, but maybe in the dressing room, players might be able to say differently. But Ange Postecoglou is an example of a great manager. Obviously, Pep Guardiola, who's one of the best probably of all time, who learned from the great Johan Cruyff. But yeah, so sorry about that, guys. Didn't want it to knock. I hope he doesn't knock the lamp over. But never work with children or animals, they say. But yeah, so a great manager can motivate players and things like that. And I suppose a manager sort of picks the players and has to consult with the board, the owners of the club or whatever, which I hope to come to, on what sort of players to get, which makes them different to role number 2, which I can think of, which is the coach. And possibly you can have a coaching team or a number of coaching staff, basically. Although, again, they're probably more often than not a sole character, but you can have goalkeeping coaches, defensive coaches, attacking coaches, and midfield coaches, and you could probably even have a coach for each position, or maybe even each player as well. I've got to admit, I've never really ran my own football team, to be honest. You can probably tell, but I just am mad dyslexic guy with with mad ideas. But I'm not saying all dyslexics are mad, but like me. But many of us probably are. But anyway, I know I am. But yeah, so a coach, I suppose a coach, I think, is different to a manager in the sense that they're probably not always solo, for one thing, and the other thing is they don't necessarily pick the players or the team or the players, the team, and the formation and things like that and during the match. I mean, a coach probably doesn't even need to really necessarily go to a match, whereas a manager should always be there. But a coach, I think you mix those two roles up, and a modern manager is probably expected to be a coach. But I think the difference is a manager, as I say, manages the team, like the formation, um, positions and things like that, and picking the players and whatnot. And a coach trains. If you think about what coaching is, it's training and coaching. So they train the players. If I'm wrong on that, or any other points I make, please let me know in the comments as ever. Or if you think you can add to this list, or you think the positions of, as in like the vacancies or the positions or whatever you call them, are as important as I make them. But this is not necessarily in order, as I say. But yeah, the coach does the coaching of the players, and I'm including this as point number 2 because, again, it's not necessarily in order, but due to my patterns, which I often talk about in my other videos as well. The number 2, obviously, not that type of number 2. Point number 2 reminds me of, or makes me think of, like learning and developing, because I often think of like 1 as a starting number, like getting things started. By the way, again, I hope my voice is clear enough. I can sort of feel my chest, not too bad, but I do feel a little bit ill or whatever. But I didn't just want to sleep or whatever. I still wanted to make videos because I have ideas. Anyway, what was my point? Yeah, 1 as sort of getting things started, and 2 as point number 2 as like learning, developing, growing. So if you start a business or you start a football team, you probably make lots of mistakes. But I remember when I was doing like a coaching course a long time ago. I actually had a full set of hair then, so that's how long ago it was when I was about 17, so about 24 years ago or so. I'm so old. But someone there was saying that make plenty of mistakes. He's the same one who said what the difference between a coach and a manager, because someone asked him, like, he said, I'm more into the coaching side of things rather than the manager, and then they were like, what's the difference? And most people probably don't know what the difference is, to be fair. I sometimes get a bit shy about not knowing things, like if people will judge me or not, but especially when I was younger. But I think he's the one who explained, if I got it right, if I remember correctly, I think that's the difference. It sort of makes sense. A coach sort of does the coaching and training and that kind of thing, coaching/training. But and he was saying, yeah, make plenty of mistakes, because that's how coaches learn. Anyway, moving on. Number 3, a good recruitment, scouting/recruitment, a good recruitment team. I think that's really important. Yeah, they bring in the best possible players, and probably even managers, coaches, and that kind of thing. So scouting/recruitment. Again, I'm probably kind of naive on this because I've never really ran a football team, but I think scouts look for like the players, but I'm talking about scouting/recruitment because I think that they not only spot the best possible players, but the best possible managers, coaches, and that kind of thing, whatever can benefit the team. Number 4, a director of football. And again, with my patterns, I'm including this as number 4 because football reminds me of 4. Like football reminds me of the number 4 for some reason, and vice versa. Well, I suppose it's foot. Sounds a bit like 4, F-O, or whatever. But anyway, a director of football. Again, I'm a bit naive on what a director of football does, but I suppose they sort of bring things together and help to organise a team and that kind of thing. But yeah, I think they're quite important for a lot of teams nowadays. Some teams don't seem to want them, or some managers probably want to do things themselves, so they don't really want a director of football. But I think they are probably beneficial. Number 5, dietitians, or at least a dietitian, if not dietitians, learning about diets, what diets can help footballers to stay fit. I would love for, as a fan of Italian football and Celtic, I would love for Italians especially. I can't imagine Celts not doing that, but especially the younger players, I would encourage them not to smoke, drink, or take drugs. I also think it'd be good to have good ethics, like not break the law and all that as a side note. But yeah, I think dietitians are really important. I was talking about Arsene Wenger earlier. One of the good things he did for Arsenal and for English football was he brought good diets in, and I think that's really important. Like English football before was known to have really bad diets, so he probably did quite a lot for. A lot of people say he did quite a lot for English football, although things turned sour at the end. But yeah, dietitians and that kind of thing, saying what's the best sort of diet for a footballer. I don't have a particularly good diet myself, but I don't practice what I preach because I'm not actually playing or I'm too old to become a professional footballer. But yeah, having good diets at least most days. I think one football team, it probably was Arsenal, said that a long time ago for each pint of beer people drink, they could still drink, but they had to have a certain amount of litres of water or something like that. I think I can't remember the amount, but anyway, that was when I was on the football coaching course. Someone said that as well. But yeah, basically a dietitian. That was number 5, I think. I'm just trying to remember. Number 6, the players, obviously on the pitch, they'll be doing the playing. Again, due to patterns, as I often say, I'm not that religious, but number 6, because they'll be doing the work on the pitch. So I believe that's number 6. I work for 6 days. Rest on your 7. I'm not mad honest. Okay, I am. But anyway, moving on. I know this video took a little bit longer than planned. I was hoping it'd take about 10 minutes as I normally do, 10 minutes or even less, but I do waffle, as I say. Number 7, the owners, co-owners, basically, and basically anyone who invests in the club brings money into the club, like fundraisers, maybe even sponsors, I was going to say initially. So investors, sponsors, possibly even fundraisers and that kind of thing. Those who bring money into the club, those who own the club. I was thinking of including them as first. I think they're probably, for a modern football team, especially at like, let's say, the EPL, La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga, Liga in France, and any other top league, really any top league, including in Scotland, or any, well, I know Scotland's not a top league to be honest, but like a lot of Celtic fans complain about the owners not reinvesting in the club, and many other teams do the same. I know for this video I was thinking not to take off my Italian and Celtic biases, or my blue and green and white tinted specs respectively for Italian football and Celtic. But yeah, so a lot of teams complain about the owners not investing enough. But I suppose they would work with the manager, of course, as because, as I said earlier, because and vice versa, because the manager might go up and say, I want to buy these players. Again, people say like Brendan Rodgers goes up to the board and says, I want to buy these players, and the board says, no, we can't. We need to keep this money for some reason, or for a rainy day maybe. But anyway, yeah, so the owners and that kind of thing. Number 8, the supporters. And I suppose supporters, I was thinking, could be 2 things. Normally when people think of supporters, it's like fans, which I think is one thing. Fans, again, go on my patterns, Fans Friday. And I think they're really important. I suppose they can benefit a club by like chanting, singing, making noise, encouraging and motivating the players, and giving them that confidence and that psychological boost, which players probably need quite a lot of. And sometimes fans can get on players' backs when the players are not producing as well, and they could probably push people to play their best game, or not, to put in more effort, to play their best games in the plural even. And I think that's important as well. If you don't think of players putting in 100% effort, or even putting pressure on the board to sort of get rid of players or managers who are not cutting it either purposely or otherwise, if they're not putting effort in, or they're just not good enough. And another, the second thing I was thinking of is like supporters, as in what I said in point number 7, which is like, point number 7 on the list, which is like financial supporters, so financial backers, investors, sponsors, fundraisers, even, and that kind of thing, which I dream to have for Italian football and Celtic. Sorry for my biases, but I think generally, again, I'm talking about more football more generically. But yeah, so financial supporters, backers, and that kind of thing, investors, sponsors, fundraisers, and that kind of thing. Number 9, perhaps those who connect the club together, so all those involved in the club, so the fan base with the owners, the manager, the coach, and bring everyone together to sort of unite them, maybe a unifying force. I think it's really important for a football club to be united behind common goals, like having shared goals about what they want to achieve and how they can work it together as a team. If your teammate makes a mistake, do you have a go at them, or do you cover for them, or a bit of both? Or if your teammate's not putting 100% effort, maybe try and get him to do so, him or her to do so, and that kind of thing. Again, think of football more generically, not even just the men's game, and at all levels. And number 10, youth development. I think that's really important for the future as well. So, like as a fan of Italian football, for the national and club teams, and for Italian football just generally, I think youth development is really important, especially if you support a national team. Some people probably don't follow international football; they only follow club football. Like I was hearing a Liverpool fan say, he only follows club football; he doesn't care about national football or international football. But for those who do, I think it's really important to develop the youth. I mean, I suppose as a club, if you have lots of money, you can just buy better players. I think there was another point I was going to make, but I can't quite remember. But I say I'd love to hear from football fans generally, and hope you have a good time wherever you are and enjoy this mad video. And I'm out.